Hello, Barendipus here with another video for the board game shelf, and the uh, this is the concluding entry, at least right now for our Betrayal: A House on the Hill collection. This is Betrayal Legacy. So, Betrayal: A House on the Hill in general. I mentioned that it was a sort of a gateway game for my wife and I for board games in general. Betrayal was also, and Betrayal Legacy was our gateway into legacy games in particular. Before coming across Betrayal Legacy, I had no idea that board games could do things like what this does. The legacy format, which is honestly kind of like grown in popularity since, but yeah, essentially what this is it's still Betrayal at House on the Hill, but the main difference is it is kind of like a campaign, right? Like a little adventure essentially. You're imagine playing Betrayal at House on the Hill about a dozen times in a row, not in the same night, but just like a dozen times, and all of those times, and every time they're connected by one overarching narrative. Time passes between each visit to the house on the hill, and also just things happening, like interconnected connected events that are happening throughout the whole thing. So yeah, my brother-in-law had this, and basically he and I, my wife, and one of my sisters-in-laws, the four of us, we played Betrayal Legacy together, and I was just amazed. Like you draw on components, you put stickers over things, rooms and cards change. Sometimes you even like tear apart cards and like room tiles and things like that to destroy them because they're not part of the game anymore, not part of your story. And like branching paths, and essentially you're changing the game itself. And by the time you finish the campaign, you have your own version of Betrayal Legacy that is unique to your playthrough. And you can also play Betrayal at House on the Hill with this game, like normal Betrayal, essentially. So yeah, before I open this box, I will say this. My wife and I did so. Um, I first played this with my brother and sister-in-law with my wife years ago, and my wife and I enjoyed it enough that we actually got our own copy, and we had a hard. This is meant to be like 3 to 5 players, but my wife and I had a hard time finding people to play with, especially during the COVID pandemic. So COVID-19 pandemic. So we just played this ourselves. We controlled two. We were basically like 2 players each, essentially. So we have played through this. So we now like this. Our story has been marked in this. So when I open the box, usually with Betrayal games, it'll have like envelopes and boxes and stuff and tell you not to open them until instructed to do so, until like the story paragraphs or whatever tell you to do so. But we have played through this, so this will have spoilers. Okay, so if you care about that, if you want to play Betrayal Legacy at some point, then I suggest you watch this video later or another time or whatever. If you do not care about spoilers, then I'll go ahead and briefly share. It has been a little. I'll open this box here. It has been a while since we've played this, so I don't really remember a lot of the specific details of exactly what happened. But essentially, you've got like 4 families, and that's what these are, basically. And yeah, you just got that's a lot of these stickers here. Sorry, just looking around at yeah. So there are 5 families that you can choose from essentially. And again, we wrote on these, and we created the names for it. We did not use this one. So I believe so. I had these 2, and my wife had these 2. And on the back, you write down what happened, essentially. You can see we recorded. I recorded a little more information than my wife did, but anyway. We kind of like created names. You can make your own name, and like you have like your characters have occupations. You can say what happened and stuff, whether that character was the traitor or not, whether they died. And so on and so forth, right? But yeah, and also I should point out as well, there's this timeline as well. So the first game you play takes place in 1666, and then it's pretty much like basically each game is like a different generation until the year 2004, basically. So, and just like a lot of strange secrets and a lot of strange things going on around the house. Again, I'm not going to go into specifics about exactly what happened, but you will probably see components in here that are locked at first. So just be warned of that. A bunch of miniatures here, and again, it normally it plays like normal Betrayal House in the Hill. You have, you know, you start in the starting area. You randomly unlock rooms as you go, and then you trigger the haunt after like enough omens have been drawn. Again, items, there's items, item cards, event cards, and omen cards. Enough omens will trigger the haunt roll and stuff, and traders, tomes, secrets of survival, all that kind of stuff, right? There's also additional stuff about there's like an additional booklet for like the story, which is probably, I can't remember if you had to destroy it at the end or if we put it like below. I think there might have been some components where like we were told to like destroy them essentially, but we put them below the insert to not use again essentially. The intention, just because sometimes it's hard to actually like destroy these like board game things, right? But yeah, it's really cool. And again, I never knew that board games could do stuff like that. They're like legacy board games essentially. So ever since being introduced to Betrayal Legacy and like this really cool story that it had, and like that it was our own story, and we were surprised. There were lots of surprises along the way and everything. There are lots of other legacy games out there, and I've definitely checked a bunch of those out. I tried Risk Legacy, but my brother-in-law has that as well. But I just have a really hard time playing Risk, so I never really got into that. I have played Pandemic Legacy once. I had a friend who wanted to play Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and he didn't have anyone to play it with. And it also was during the pandemic. So the reason why I didn't want to play Pandemic Legacy was like I didn't really care for the theme. The theme of the game, it felt too real. I'm fine with other versions of Pandemic as long as it's not like modern day like diseases. There's like Cthulhu Pandemic, there's World of Warcraft and stuff like that, right? I'm fine with those, but I played Pandemic Legacy, and I will say that was very impressive. Like I did generally enjoy playing that game with my wife and my friend, but I'm not interested in that particular series of games. Other legacy games. Oh yeah, the big one, Gloomhaven. That's why we got Gloomhaven basically. Because Gloomhaven is probably one of the biggest. I guess Frosthaven is bigger, but Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, those are like some of the biggest and like densest legacy games out there. Where like you go on your own adventure, and the game itself changes as you go, and you unlock things and whatever. But yeah, this is the first one that I did that I ever played. Oh, also Aeon's End Legacy as well. And after playing this, my brother-in-law also had Aeon's End Legacy, so we played through that. And I'm like, you know what? I want to get these kinds of games and have my own adventures. So, yeah, and we certainly did. So there you go, Betrayal Legacy. That's the full Betrayal House in the Hill stuff that we have at home. And now, kind of coming up, kind of continuing on in the board game shelf, we've got several games in a row that kind of have more of a like spooky, like kind of a more spooky Cthulhu vibe kind of a thing. Not always Cthulhu, but kind of more like spooky or mysterious kind of stuff. So that'll be the next several games in a row, because they kind of like are very, very, very thematic along with the Betrayal series. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, all the best.